Good morning. Good morning. Happy Sunday. Oh, and happy Mother's Day, everybody, for all the women out there in the world who have children. Thank you for all you do. Happy Mother's Day. We love you. God bless you. Keep fighting the good fight. My name is Jimmy Smith. I'm the host of The Big Show. Alongside of me is my co-host and color commentator, Dwayne Ward, and also host of Pissed Off Parent. You guys make sure you check him out. He does his podcast throughout the week. The Big Show is a podcast where we discuss modern day issues like men's health, masculinity, the hard truth about dating, and what makes a man a man. So let's go ahead and get the Big Show started. Dwayne, good morning to you.
Good morning. Happy Mother's Day to everybody out there. As you had mentioned, appreciate all the things that you did, because without you, we all wouldn't be here.
That is true. Hey, question for you. So on Facebook today is like the day where when you look at Facebook posts, a lot of the women will go, no, hold on. That's on Father's Day. On Father's Day, the women will go, oh, well, I'm a mother and a father, so I should be happy Father's Day also. Does that work the same for us? I mean, the guys who are listening right now, who are raising their kids, do they get to take credit for today? Is that how this works?
Yeah, boy, you really got the hook in the mouth for me. I was gonna not say anything, but yeah, every year on Mother's Day and Father's Day, there's always the I'm the mother and the father. Then there's usually the fathers don't do the fathers and the mother, but yeah, that happens all the time. You know, I'm the mother and the father. Just personal disclosure, I'm actually the mom and the dad in my situation. I have 100% custody of my children, so. Yeah, I don't go out there doing that, but yeah, there are unfortunately some folks that like to do that. I mean, yeah, they should be. I mean, those in certain scenarios like that, they should be praised or whatever. But yeah, that going out, it's something. I guess maybe as a guy, I see it more on Father's Day, where you have the some of the ladies that for whatever reason decide to put that out there. For whatever reason, but yeah, that does happen.
It's because they have to have it all. They have to have it all.
They have to have it all, unfortunately, and wish that would be different. Sometimes it's just put your head down and just do your job. And hey, life didn't turn out the way you thought it was going to work with the picket fences and all that, and you got to do the best for your kids. But unfortunately, some folks they decide that they want to do things a little differently. But I digress.
Isn't that the truth? So this week at work, I get into a discussion with some colleagues and stuff. Men and women, we're all just kind of talking, and one of the female coworkers I work with was talking about her dating life, and I don't remember what brought it up, but sometimes whenever I'm listening to people talk about relationships, because I kind of do this myself and help people. I don't always speak out, but I sit back, and sometimes when people will say things or give advice, I'll just kind of go, oh, God, that's like the worst advice you could ever give. And it's just a little cringy. And I remember her saying something along the lines of, men are easy to figure out or something like that. And I made the counter argument that men know women way better than women know men. And she, of course, scoffed, right? And she's like, you got to be kidding me. Women know men way more than men know women. And I said, it's just not true. Because the way that the modern dating market is right now, it's not conducive to women even learning men at all. And I went on saying that in the dating market, when a woman puts herself out there, she gets a plethora of men chasing her in her DMs. She doesn't even have to be on dating sites in order for men to be chasing her. She can just have a social media account and guys will be all up in her DMs. But how many women are all up in the men's DM? Hardly any at all. There's been countless studies.
I mean, it's personal experience. I'm sitting there and every day on my Insta Snap and TalkTick and all that stuff. I wish I could turn that part of it off. But there's a lot of thirsty ladies out there. I don't understand how to use parts of it because I'm old. And I'll lean over and go to my wife and go, "What is all this crap?" And you'll say, just a bunch of people wanting to slide into your DMs.
Are these women that reply and say hello or something like that?
Yeah, I mean, I'm assuming it's a Nigerian prince or something out of. I mean, I'm not like, well, look at me.
Right. Just making sure. I don't want to be because some dude from Nigeria is posing as a chick,
Oh yeah.
But they've done studies where they've taken a very attractive man and put a profile on a dating site, and then took a very unattractive, overweight woman and put her on the same dating profile, and counted how many matches they got. And the unattractive woman had gotten 4 times the matches as the most attractive man. And so what's my point? My point is that women don't have to learn men. They just exist, and the men will come rushing to them. Women control access to a couple of things in life, and we've spoken about this. They control access to sex, and they control access to whether or not a child gets brought into this world. And, when men are courting or chasing women, let's be honest. If you're a man, there's an old saying. It says, men sleep with who they can and they marry who they want. But women sleep with who they want and marry who they can. Absolutely. And the reason why is because men control access to relationships. We're the ones that say, I do. We're the ones that say we're boyfriend and girlfriend. So whenever it comes to courting from men to women, women have a huge advantage in the beginning and a slight disadvantage when the relationship continues down weeks, months down the road, years, whatever. And so in the beginning, if you're a man, it is very hard for a man to have a sexual relationship with a woman.
Right.
You have to be a whole lot of things to be able to have a sexual relationship with a woman. You've got to be good looking and, all the sixes for sure. Right. You've got to know what makes women happy, what makes them upset, what charms them, what work you got to put in. Like, in order for you to bed a woman, you've got to know a whole lot about women, because you're not just going to stumble and fall into this task here.
Right.
If a woman wants to sleep with a man, how much does she have to learn about men?
That they have a pulse. I mean,
correct.
Much.
Yeah, exactly. So the reason why I think most women think that they know men is because they're looking at the amount of men that they're attracting. And women's argument will be, well, I don't have any problem attracting men. I don't have any problem getting men. That's not the issue. The issue is, do you have a problem keeping men?
Right.
That's the difference. Because if you're a woman, let me just go ahead and give you the hard truth, ladies. If you're a woman and you are in a relationship and then another one and another one and another one, and no one's trying to throw a ring on your finger, you're probably doing something wrong. You've got some growing to do. You've got some learning to do. And just because you can attract multiple men, you do not get credit for something that comes to you effortlessly. Only the value, all the valuable things in life, they take time and they take a lot of effort and energy to attract. That's why they're valuable. Valuable things are rare. There's nothing that's given away for free that we would consider valuable. Water is $1 a gallon because it's in abundance, at least in the West it is, right? So when there's something that's rare, like a Lamborghini or a big house or, gold, for instance, or diamonds, it takes many, many years to create or to make a diamond. That's why it's so expensive, because it's rare. It's a rare commodity. So if women are having a hard time keeping men, if you're a woman and you're looking at your ring finger and there's a whole lot of vacancy right there and no one's ever even asked you, you know what, scratch that. Because men sometimes will ask because they're in the emotional stage and you guys break up and whatever. If a man has never premeditatedly went to Kay's jeweler or wherever, spent $20,000 on a ring of significant carriage, and dropped that on one knee and proposed to you, then you need to level yourself up as a woman, because you're not developing the skills needed to attract men for a long-term relationship. If you're a woman and you have a man and he just proposes to you without a ring, then it was something fleeting. You can't really count that because there wasn't a whole lot of thought. Chances are, not in all cases, but chances are he's in his feels, he's emotional, doesn't want to let you go, and he feels that proposing to you would be what's needed to bring the union back together. We all know those relationships. So that was kind of my argument when we were doing the debate this week at work. And I decided to put together some top things that men want in relationships. And this podcast is, of course, for men and women, but it's mostly for women today. And the men are going to find this pretty amusing and pretty enjoyable. Some of you guys might go, that means a little bit to me. Other guys are going to go, yeah, that means a lot to me. But you guys are going to know once and for all. You guys are going to know whenever I start reading these things off that, yeah, you know what, it's pretty dead on. That's exactly what we want. And I haven't covered all things that men want, but I covered the top 15, top 20 things. And I'm doing this for women because the truth is that when something comes to you very easy, it's unlikely you're going to take the initiative to learn too much about. You're unlikely going to take the initiative to learn to attract something that you attract very easy. But the top tier women, the women who are wife material, because we talked about this a few weeks ago, men put women into two main categories: wife material and everything else. Wife material and everything else. And the women who are wife material has either gotten very lucky, very lucky in learning some of these things that I'm going to talk about today, or they've done the work and they've studied men because they're thinking, I want to be a wife, I want to be a mother, I want to have a long-term relationship that leads to marriage, and we both grow old together. So in order for me to do that, I need to figure out how men think, how men act. The good women out there already know these things I'm about to talk about. All the rest of the women out there, if you're listening to some of the things and it's the first time you've ever heard it, or you think that's not really true, then you're wrong, because it is. It is. So
I'm special.
Yeah.
I'm different.
And there is a ton of delusion out there in today's dating market.
Well, you were saying that, when you're talking about the dating, and women make that mistake, and you've mentioned this a number of times, that just because they get matched a lot or they can take men to bed a lot, that doesn't mean much. A guy, a 10, a 9, and 8 will sleep with a 1 or a 2 or a 3, but he definitely won't have a long-term relationship with her. And unfortunately, women, they're 1, 2s, and 3s. They believe the Hallmark Channel or whatever they're believing in. They think, oh, well, this 10 is sleeping with me and I'm a 3. That means that I can get a 10. Well, you can get a 10 for one night or on a late Friday night after his match decided to say no to him. But women that think that they're a 3 and they're getting a 10, they're deluding themselves thinking they can get one or that they can keep one. Yeah. And that's one of the lessons that they really need to learn. And it's not to be mean. It's just that's the reality. Yeah. But unfortunately, Hallmark and all these movies, they show, a 2 or a 3 finding that attractive 7, 8, or 9 that comes back to her hometown, and they fall in love, and he leaves his job to be with her. Those Hallmark movies. Yeah. But
on the Lifetime channel.
Lifetime channel. Oh yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and I'll tell you a quick story. I'll tell you about a very, very important female friend of mine who I adore tremendously. She was married. She has 2 girls, and she married herself a high value man. Good looking, full head of hair, makes a lot of money. She was a stay-at-home mom. I mean, she kind of lived the American dream. And, things didn't quite work out in the relationship. Nothing bad ever happened, but just things didn't work out. And she got out on the open dating market, and the men that she dated after her husband were all good quality men as well. I don't know if they necessarily all qualified for the high value men because they made the money, but they were all good stand-up dudes. She spent her entire life, dating men who most women out there would see one of those men that she dated as the one. And
Right.
she attracts these kinds of men that want to keep her, that are, and she's in long-term relationship with them. You know, she's attracted them pretty much her entire life. So why is that, right? Why is this person who I'm thinking about able to attract the cream of the crop of the batch of men, but other women out there will tell you that there's no good men out there. All men are dogs, all men are sleazy and things like that. When this woman that I'm thinking about would probably look at them and say, well, I'm not seeing that in my life. I'm seeing there's a lot of really good men out there. Well, the reason, ladies, stone cold truth, the woman that I'm thinking about, that's wife material. She knows how men think. And I've had multiple hundreds of hours of conversation with this woman. And I can say firsthand, she's got it right. That woman will never have a problem attracting a good man, because good men know these good women. And she knows so much about how a man works, how a man ticks. And I'm not talking about sex. I'm talking about everything else but sex.
Right.
A lot of women know how to please men sexually, but I'm referring to all the other things. Because if a woman is proud of how good she is in the bedroom and she's leading with that, you're going to lose. You're going to lose in terms of long-term relationships. Because if all you can offer is sex, that's the only thing men are going to want you for. If you offer so much more than just sex, then that's what men are going to want from you, because they see the value in you. They're going to wife you. So I say that because it's time, especially in today's world. We're making this podcast in the year 2023, and it's according to statistics from people who are doing these stats that are far smarter than me. They do not see relationships and pair bonding getting better. They actually see it getting worse. And there's been stats that have come out that say by the year 2030, only about 50% of women between the ages of 18 and 40 will be married and have children. In the history of humanity, dating thousands of years back, about 80 to 90% of all females born on the earth have had children. In just a handful of years, only 50% of you will. So think about what that means. I'm not going to go down that road. It's pretty easy to understand why.
I think I can sum it up for you there, and I'll use one of the great movies, Star Wars. Men want a female Jedi in the streets and a Sith in the sheets, just to get right down to it. And all of that entails, they want a Jedi, mature, smart, wise, good conversationalist, able to get things done, a good, teammate to get stuff done. But, they want the Sith in the sheets. And that, I think, personally kind of covers what you were talking about.
It does. And we've all heard that, right? A lady in the streets, a freaking, what was it? A lady in the street, freaking the sheets, right? So we've all heard that. But think about, ladies, think about what that really means. The freak in the sheets part is what you guys are very comfortable with. A lot of you, it's the lady in the street part that we really need to be working on here, because it doesn't mean that you're well behaved. It doesn't mean we take you to a nightclub or a social event and you keep from being a drunk idiot. That's not what it means. It means so much more than that. Some of the things that we're going to talk about today is really going to be things that, no offense to some women that are listening to this, things that you probably should have learned a long time ago. Maybe your mothers should have taught you that. Maybe your friends should have, or maybe, and if no one does, guys, gals, if no one teaches you this stuff, let me remind you, when you turn 18 years old, it's your responsibility to learn these things. Because at what age do you finally say, hey, even though no one's ever taught me, I still am an adult now, I need to take responsibility to learn A, B, and C. At what age do you feel that would be appropriate? 30, 25, 18? Yeah, I think most people will say about 18. Yeah, I mean, whatever year you decide to choose, chances are you've already passed that year. So it's time for you to learn these things, because I promise you that men have to. Men don't get to look back and go, well, my dad never taught me because I never had a dad. A lot of us never did have a dad growing up, but we still are expected to be in our masculinity. We're still expected to be men. We're still expected to take a bullet. We're still expected to get out there and grind and be on our purpose and do all these things, even though no one's taught, likely, a lot of us have not had the opportunity for the man of our household, because there wasn't one, to teach us how to be men. And women do a good job taking babies and making them into boys, but they can't take boys and make them into men. They can't.
No.
And Dwayne has a plethora of stats to support what I just said. But I don't want to get him on a rant because he'll take up this whole entire podcast throwing facts down your guys' throat. So if you guys ever want to know some of these stats, go check out his podcast called Pissed Off Parent. And he doesn't talk out of his mouth. He supports it with data, stats, and statistics. So that being said, folks, let's jump into it. Ladies, if you need to, take some notes. It's only for your own good. I truly want to help you guys understand men, and I really want you guys to be happy. I want you guys to be loved. And on Mother's Day, I thought to myself, what's the best way I can do to help women be loved and have a fulfilling life? And women were created to create. Women were created to create. Men create things, women create people. And I don't care what you say. I don't care what you say. If you are a woman and you think that not ever being married and never having kids is going to be perfectly fine with you and you're going to focus on your career, trust me, when you turn 45 years old, 50 years old, and you got your nice Lexus and your BMW and your Prada purses and a decent sized house, but you're all alone, you are not going to feel happy, secure, loved, and ultimately feel like you have purpose. Because a woman's purpose is driven a lot by creation. Just like if you're a man and all you do is play video games and you don't get out there and you don't accomplish something in life, you don't have a purpose. You're not doing anything that's going to affect the world. You're not going to live a fulfilling life either. That's why it's so important for men to have purpose. That being said, let's talk about some of the top things that women can do to understand what men want in a relationship. These are not in any particular order, but one of the first things to do, ladies, and if you haven't realized this already, you're already missing the boat. I think this one you probably do know. Number one, praise him. Praise him. Men, shocker, we have egos. We have to have egos, ladies. Because life is so darn hard for a man. We got to get out there and grind, and we got to be in the top tier of men just to attract your attention. Just to compete, to get your attention, we have to fight. So when we do finally make something of ourselves, it would be nice to hear, good job, I appreciate you, things like that. So praise him. The reason why, the need to praise him, is to hear your approval and admiration. You satisfy this by complimenting him on a regular basis. Men have surprisingly vulnerable egos, if you haven't noticed, ladies. So let your praise flow loose. Take time to remind your partner what you like about him and reassure him about all of his qualities. It'll go a long ways. Men really appreciate two important things. I'm going to give you 20, but man, if you could only remember two, respect and appreciation. Do those two, and you can almost forget the other 18. I wouldn't recommend it, but boy, you would be a head and shoulders above everyone else. Don't worry about praising him too much. It's not going to boost his ego to the point of insufferability. Don't worry about making his head so big he's going to have ego. Trust me, life has a very good way of crushing men constantly. But tell your partner. Tell your partner exactly what you find attractive about him and praise him for his skills. Just like you, men are not good at everything. We have a handful or two, if we're lucky, things that we do well. Find out the things he does well and praise him for it. Compliment him whenever he does something nice for you. You'll find that like little words of encouragement will make him feel loved. The more you praise his positives, the more you will see and appreciate them too. So praising is one of the things that men really like. Number two, give him a little space. He needs space because he wants to have some quiet time alone. you can satisfy this by just being mindful of his time. Having a little time alone is essential for every person. It lets us kind of reorganize, regroup, reconnect with ourselves, things like that. But giving him enough space and time for himself will keep him from feeling suffocated by the relationship. We've all heard where there's times where men are like, oh God, okay, thank you. I appreciate all the love and stuff, but I'm feeling suffocated. Or guys will say, I just need my space, things like that. Sometimes it's because women are too much, men need a little bit of space. So if you give a little space, he'll appreciate your trust in him, and you'll share a bond whenever you do let him breathe. Number 3, and this is one that you're not going to get a chance to do this right very often. You're going to get a few chances to get this one right, and if you don't, you're out of luck. Allow him to be vulnerable.
Yeah.
He needs to have, I hate using the word safe space, but I'll go ahead and use it, a safe space for his emotions.
Yeah.
Being there for him and helping him heal. I mean, let's be honest, from a young age, society teaches men to avoid looking weak. Signs of weakness are like crying, complaining.
We're supposed to be rock. We're supposed to be the unbreakable rock that no matter what the hell goes down, we are there making it happen. That's what society, our women, everyone expects of us.
Yep.
And we don't, after it's all done, we're expected just to keep on going, which we do. But having that other person, when you sit down, being able to be vulnerable. I didn't mean to detract from that, but yeah.
No, you're right, buddy. Jump in anytime you're on. And Dwayne is absolutely right. I mean, ladies, you have to understand that men are almost damned if you do and damned if you don't. Understand that men have all the same feelings that you do. Men are just taught and trained to never express emotions, because and then when we do, you guys will look at us a little bit different, especially if we do it too often. I tell men all the time, don't cry in front of your woman. There's a very few circumstances where it's understandable. The death of someone or something that you love, the birth of your child, things like that, completely understandable. But don't you come home from work and start crying to your woman that your boss really handed it to you that day. She's going to look at you differently, So it's one of those things where men have not only been taught to not show emotions, but we've also have been taught to see it as a sign of weakness. The problem, though, is that if we don't express our feelings from time to time, if we don't show some vulnerability, the pressure gets too much and men do awful things in this world. And all you got to do is turn the news on to see what awful things men have and can do, what they're capable of doing. So
it's not just the crying and all that, but like bills and debt and other issues that are going on, being able to sit down and talk about those things, very frankly with your spouse and say, you know what, the tax bill came in and oh my gosh, or the medical bill, whatever that bill is, I don't know how, I don't know how to do it. And, having your spouse be there and be supportive, not her taking over, but having her understand that and then communicating with you to find a solution. Sometimes just like women, we just want to sit there and talk it out and get it out there so we can think through whatever that issue is. And again, just like women, there are times we just want to say it and then find a way that tells us, hey, we talked it out. Now let's get a plan. Let's get it fixed. But, I'd say it's not just the, birth of the child or,
death
of the parent or, the crying or the over the top emotions. But being able to say, talk about your failures and have that person and I'm going to look right in the camera here. Don't use, I don't know if I'm going to steal this one from you on the side note here, but do not use that against them in an argument.
Right.
And I'm not saying that happened to me ever. I'm honestly saying that is no either, but this is advice to you. If you ever want to just kill your relationship, be sure to bring up his failing to him while you're arguing when he was vulnerable, because that's one of the reasons why guys don't want to be vulnerable, because they find out it gets used against them. And then you'll never have a good relationship after that.
Ladies, listen to what Dwayne's saying. He couldn't have said any perfect. I start off explaining to ladies why men don't show emotions. And if you can understand why, then you have to understand that in the rare occasion that men do show their emotions, two things are going to happen there, two areas of opportunity for you. And that's why, and I started this off by saying, if you get this wrong, you won't get a whole lot of chances to get this wrong because of what Dwayne just said. Number one, if a man shows you emotions and he's not an emotional man by nature, a guy like Dwayne, a guy like me, I'm not an emotional kind of guy. I don't show my emotions very, very much. I'm like a turtle. I'm hard on the outside, but I'm soft on the inside. Only the women in my life who I love, adore, and trust get to see the soft side of Jimmy Smith. If I show my woman my soft side, that's a huge compliment for most men. So if you're dating a masculine man and he shows a vulnerability to you, take that as one of the highest honors because it's a rarity. And if and when he does, I'm just going to say it blatantly and boldly because that's who I am. Ladies, if your man is a masculine man and he shows you emotion and you throw that shit back in his face, you're done. He will not trust you again. Making him feel like a little bitch is the worst thing you can do. So if you've been guilty of that in the past, where you've thrown that shit back in his face, I can almost guarantee you ain't with that guy anymore, and that's your fault. Just because you wouldn't feel the way that he does in the same situation does not mean that men will not. We are different, guys. Men and women are different. And you have to, as a woman, understand the nature of men, our ideology, how we see our paradigm, how we see the world through the lens that we see it. And if you want a successful relationship with a man, you're going to have to understand freaking men. And let me give you some advice. That right there is one of the biggest deal breakers for a lot of men. If we open up to you and you throw it back in our face, I tell you what, it's hard to make up for that one. It's hard to make up for that one. Let's go to number 4, making him feel like a hero. I mean, this one shouldn't come to a surprise, but for some women, it may come to a surprise. Is it really honestly a surprise that men want to be your hero? I mean, we were kind of born for this, right? Mm-hmm. We get out there, we battle the world, we do all these things, we provide, we take a bullet for you, we'll run towards chaos. If another country invades our country, we're the ones that are getting on the front lines, protecting the elderly, the children, and you. Mm-hmm. So make him feel like he's a hero from time to time. And the reason why is because men need to feel needed. And you satisfy that feeling of making him feel like a hero by just making him feel appreciated when he steps up for you. Right. There is a guy named James Bauer. I think he has a book called Instinct Theory. In the book, he just goes on to explain that men want to feel like you're Superman. They don't want to feel like you're Clark Kent. Right. Okay. So for those of you who know Superman and you know the difference of Clark Kent and Superman are the same guys, same people, right? Most of you know that. But think about the frame of Superman. Think about the frame of Clark Kent. Right. Complete, like almost two different people. Right. So men want to be your Superman, not your Clark Kent. They want you to be impressed by the things they do and would hate for you to look down on them. So, show him that you value his opinions, you cherish his advice, always express how much you look up to his competency, and never humiliate him when he doesn't live up to your expectations. Give him a little bit of leeway. I know he has to lead the family. I get that. Apologies. But he's going to make mistakes. We are all human. Ladies, you make mistakes all the time. Don't bash this guy constantly if he makes a mistake. Remember that you chose him to fly this plane. You don't want to start beating him on the head when he has the steering wheel in his hand here. Number 5. This one's going to be an easy one for most women. Be physically affectionate. Men need to experience the non-sexual touch. Mm-hmm. You satisfy this by just, caressing him from time to time, every now and then. While men, of course, enjoy having sexual access to their partners, they also need non-sexual attention as well, just like you guys do. Simple things like touching his hair, his neck, his cheek, those kind of things reaffirm the physical and emotional connection that the two of you share. Touch is an interpretation of love. It will turn him on. It'll tell your man that you love him and that you want him to feel happy all the time. It's also a reminder that you're by his side and that you care for him. This one should come pretty easy for most women. However, there are women out there, women that I have dated, where the physical affection, and I'm not talking about sexual affection, I'm talking about non-sexual physical affection, was non-existent. And in that relationship that I can think of, it ultimately ended in the demise because although men are not typically as affectionate as women, we are still affectionate. We still want to know our woman loves us, and we kind of want you on us from time to time. Just don't be smothering, so find that balance. Some men are a little more standoffish than others. That's up to you to determine what kind of man you got. We have to determine what kind of woman we have. It should not be that hard for most of you women, but don't overlook that one. Non-sexual physical attention is very important.
All right.
Number 6, reassure him that you are in this for the long run. It is probably a fleeting thing for a lot of women to understand, unless you have listened to this podcast, unless you have listened to Dwayne's podcast. Women don't oftentimes understand the risks that are involved when a man is in a monogamous long-term relationship with a woman. Generally speaking, who funds the relationship? Men or women? Men. Generally speaking, who has more to lose in a divorce? Men or women? Men. Men will lose their house, their assets, 401ks, their children. The men who are listening to this right now are nodding their heads. I can feel it. They're nodding their heads going, ain't that the freaking truth?
Yeah.
Women oftentimes come out better in a divorce than men.
Yep.
90% of all alimony is awarded to women. 80% of all the children's custodies are rewarded to women. And typically men come into relationships with more assets and money, and that gets split down the middle. What's my point? My point is that now more than ever, men are kind of going, I don't think it's worth it to get married.
Juice ain't worth the squeeze.
The juice ain't worth the squeeze, man. So if you want to be in a relationship, a long-term relationship with a man, one of the best things that you can do is assure him that you're in it for the long run. Because trust me, you women may not be thinking about a split up and how that's going to affect you other than how you'll feel about it. Men have to also deal with the feelings of it, but also all the other turmoil. You don't have to worry about the things that men have to worry about in a divorce or breakup. So for you to sit him down and assure him that you are going to be there for him for the long haul goes a long, long ways.
Can I interject something?
Yes, sir, you can.
That has been through this a couple times. It's just to really break it down for the ladies. It's not just merely sitting him down and telling him I'm in it for the long haul, because every marriage that he has had or every long-term relationship he has had has also that person sat down and said the exact same thing. It's the proverbial words versus actions. And I can count, and well, of course, the statistics all show the number of times that the woman said, "Oh, I'm in it for the long haul." 6 months later, or 7 years or 10 years, depending upon your state alimony laws, they change their mind. That's something that men deal with. And, the phrase I always use is, I can't do this again because I don't like the taste of Alpo. That, men, we look at our future. We look at, where am I going to be in X number of years? And can I support myself? Can I make sure I'm not a burden to my children? Can I, that's the stuff that goes through our minds all the time. And women, we know, if we went to my website, or talk to our friends, that we get hosed in divorces. Well, it's more like 90+% of the time. And when we commit to you, that is a huge deal. And you need to, not just words, but actions. And we can talk about the actions, but you need to say and show and prove to him daily that you're in it for the long haul. And some items there is, when Jimmy was talking about vulnerability and using that against him, that would be an example of telling him you're not in it for the long haul. Getting upset, doing squirrely things, stupid little games, those all those things tell him, they raise his spidey sense and red flags that you're not in it for the long haul, because women can change their mind in a second. 1 minute you're in love, next minute you're in love with somebody else, or you're going for that bigger, better cash payout. I would say, ladies, it's not just telling him, you've got to show him, and it takes years, decades. And even then, we're always, the way the laws are set up, we're always going to be somewhat apprehensive. And it's something that we do think about every moment of every day. I would say it differently. Sorry, Jimmy.
Well said, for a moment, my friend. Ladies, I'll give you a quick story about me personally. Most men understand hypergamy in women. Women are always looking for the best option for them. And I don't get mad and upset about hypergamy. It gets under my skin like it does most men, but I'm not going to, get mad at female nature. We have male nature also. When I was on the dating market and I was dating a few different women, I was on a site called Bumble. That's one of the dating sites. And I had a few dates, and let me just be honest. There's a couple really great women out there. Women who openly said to me, look, I'm looking for marriage. I want a long-term relationship. And there was a couple women who were worthy enough of being vetted for potential marriage. And I'm on a date with this one lady, and she's beautiful and she checks off all the boxes, and we have a great first date. But I have had other great first dates. But what set her aside from the other ones is this number 6. Reassuring him, you're in it for the long run. And here's what I mean by that. Here's what I mean. She said to me on that first date, something along the lines of, Jimmy, I see the kind of man you are. I can tell you're a good standing guy. I'm going to cancel my Bumble and focus on you. After the first date, she said that. And I looked at her, and I'm thinking to myself, here's a woman that could walk into any bar, any restaurant, any mall, and nearly every guy in that mall is going to turn his head. She has no problems attracting the attention of men. I know she has options. I know that she knows that she has options. But for her to see the value in me and say to me that I see enough in you to gamble and hold off on any other man, and I'm going to focus on what I got in front of me right there, made me turn to her and say, well, then I'll go ahead and cancel my Bumble as well, and I'll focus on you. What's my point? My point, ladies, is the power of reassuring your man that you're in it for him or in it with him is far stronger than you really think it is. Men are expected to still be traditional in a world where women are no longer traditional. Okay. And the traditional women of our grandparents' years, you have noticed that your grandparents probably have 2 gravestones right next to each other. They got married in their early 20s and they passed away in their 70s, 80s, and 90s, and they were together the entire time. Why? Because life was easy for them? No. Because they never had any turmoil? No. Because there wasn't bad things that happened? Did grandpa stay faithful? Grandma stay faithful? Probably not. The reason why those men and women stay together so long is because of duty. Grandma had a duty. She knew that no matter what, we're going to make this thing work. Grandpa knew that no matter what, I chose this woman, I'm going to make things work. It wasn't about happiness. It wasn't that as long as this man makes me happy, I'm going to stay with him. F your happiness. Happiness is not something that you can lean on someone else to give you. If you can't be happy with yourself, you can't expect a man to make you happy, ladies, because honestly, no offense to you, your emotions are so sometimes all over the place. If I was to say something to you that makes you happy today, I could say it tomorrow and it may not make you as happy. We can't figure out or read your mind. You have to make yourself happy. But if you're in a long-term relationship, especially a marriage, the duty of that marriage is extremely important. And one of the best things you can do for your man is reassure him that you're in it for the long run. Number 7, tell him it's okay if he makes a mistake. Don't just use him as your verbal punching bag. Men have to feel appreciated and supported, just like you guys do. Give him the unconditional love and understanding that men need. Inside every man is a boy who forgets that he shouldn't leave the toilet seat up or say the wrong things to you or your friends. He probably has a short attention span, because men do. But remember, you're his partner, not his mother. It's not your job to nag him if he does something wrong. If he slips up and makes a mistake, ladies, talk to him about it calmly. Reassure him it'll be okay.
Privately.
What's that?
Privately.
Thank you, Dwayne.
Not in the middle of your children or his children or your children, or in front of his friends. Oh my God.
Oh God, what a great point. Ladies, if you go to the beginning of this podcast, I said there's 2 very important things that if you just get those 2 things down, you can almost not be so good at the other 18 I'm going to talk about today. Respect and appreciation. The respect thing, most men care more about your respect than they do your love. If I could only choose, I get her respect or her love, I'd likely, and many men would probably likely choose your respect. It's that important to us. We want both, but if we had to or forced to choose one, respect is just really hard to just give up. Mm-hmm. Dwayne's point is, if and when, because it will happen, he slips up, makes a mistake. Do what you want, but let me tell you something, ladies. You call him out in front of his friends, you call him out in public. Oh my Lord.
Yes. You might as well pack your bags.
Pack your shit. Men don't play that stuff. Respect is very, very important to us. Do not make us look like a fool in front of someone else. We understand and respect your opinions, and we understand and respect your direction. And you guys are really good at a lot of things. But say that shit in private.
Yeah.
You want a fast ticket to I'm now Singleville? Say that shit in front of all of his friends. Or don't embarrass him in front of his friends. Do it in private. Okay. Trust me, Dwayne's advice is very good. Do it in private. This will show him that you support and accept him unconditionally, even if he slips up now and then.
Yeah.
Once he knows that you understand him, he'll be motivated to be a better man for you. So let him know that it's okay if he makes a mistake from time to time. It'll go a long ways. Number 8, be a little playful. Come on, let's have some fun. Don't take life, don't take yourself too seriously. Be a little playful. Women, you guys do that really good. Just like the affection thing, you guys do good. This is another one that if you have an issue with it, I mean, come on. You guys should be pretty good at this. You guys should be better at being playful than men. Men are not playful. We don't get super, super excited about things as much as you guys do. We love it when you get excited. We love it when you guys are playful. I will go to work and work my ass off to provide a life and experiences for my woman to watch her smile from ear to ear. If I can share something for the first time with my woman and she gets super excited, it gives me all the motivation I need to go and grind tomorrow or go grind on Monday. So be playful. A lot of women are experts at organizing and multitasking, which can be a little draining for men because you guys are like, blah, 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 blah. I mean, it's really easy to get wound up thinking about your to-do list, ladies. Why not be a little spontaneous and let loose together from time to time? Men like it when you let go of control and enjoy the moment with him. Don't be afraid to show him your sense of humor because this shows him that you're comfortable and relaxed with him. Men really, really like those kinds of things. Mm. Number 9, treat him to romantic gestures. Men honestly need to feel love through actions. So woo him every once in a while. Don't let it just always be the man to the woman being romantic. It's okay if you guys do it the other way. I mean, look, I'm not saying 50-50 where out of 10 romantic gestures, you got to do 5. Can you give us 2? Can we get 2 out of 10? You know, if you really want to help us out, maybe 3. Just everyone. Like, when's the last time, ladies, that you did something romantic for your man? You're always wanting him to do the flowers and the surprises and things like that. And men should. I'll give it to you. But does that really mean that you can never do it?
Yeah.
Many people don't realize that men want romance just as much as women do. We fantasize about these things. Ladies, you'd be surprised to know how often men daydream about making you happy and being romantic. We love romance as well. We're not going to get out there, and I'm not going to get out there and have a conversation with Dwayne about romance and talk about how I want to romance, how I love romance. We don't talk about those things, but we do think about them if we are with a woman that we love. Men tend to show their love through actions a little more than words. So wooing your man through sweet gestures will kind of remind him that you love him, you know? Men are not going to expect flowers or chocolates from you, okay? Your partner, men are not going to want that kind of thing. So don't bother. But you know, your partner probably won't mind if you occasionally send him a cute text or kiss him on the cheek for no reason. You know, little gestures like that. It'll show that you're passionate and generous in a relationship. So, you know, don't overlook the importance of also you guys being romantic from time to time. Another one that is really important, and I know it's really important for Dwayne, number 10, take interest in his hobbies.
Yeah. My dumb trucks, which, by the way, I got a new one. That guy right there. It's
in the box.
It meant in the box. It was actually they printed them, but it was a mess up. It's the white Optimus Prime. So normally, let's see here. Optimus Prime right there is normally a red and gray truck. It's red for Optimus, and then his trailer's gray. The one down here, which is again mint in the box, is completely white. It was a rare mess uppy thing, but I finally acquired that one.
Yeah.
But yeah. And she took interest. She's very loves. I mean, she'll go with me to Comic Cons, to toy stores, and hey, do you have that one? Oh, do you have this one? And you know, she has a normal person's level of interest in geeky things. You know,
right.
she shows a lot of interest, or when I'm talking about coding something, she'll, you know, oh well, that's interesting. I mean, obviously, you know, my brain works differently than hers on stuff, but she shows interest, the right level of interest, and it's definitely appreciated. I mean,
there you go.
See, obviously, this is a passion of mine, and you know, she's fine with it, encouraging. You know, she's like, "Hey, you got the show today? Hey, how's the website looking? How this, all the different things I'm involved with." She takes an interest in it. It's not, you know, about her. It's, you know, what's going on, and of course, that's reciprocated.
100%.
Yeah, and that's the way it should be.
There's not many women out there that are going to be interested in coding and Optimus Prime. But
I found one.
But Dwayne, you know, he likes those kinds of things, and I can see the appeal in both of them. But he found himself a woman that takes interest in his hobbies, and it really goes a long way, as you can see in his face. Mm-hmm. So Dwayne absolutely appreciates the fact that, you know, Brandy takes interest in his hobbies. Yeah. So, ladies, if your man has hobbies, take interest in them. It'll go a long ways. Number 11, accept him for who he is.
I'm a nerd. Once we got past that, it was smooth sailing.
And I am a guy who likes to teach. Yeah. I'm a guy who's disciplined. I'm a guy who honestly wants to make the world a better place and help people. Sometimes, if I'm being honest with myself, it doesn't always go very well in a relationship. My teaching, because I'm always in that teaching mode. So when me and my partner has a discussion, I'll go into that. Well, did you know that so-and-so stats and so-and-so does? And my chick's probably like, oh my God, please, if I hear the stat one more time, Jimmy, yes, I know that 80% of this person does this and 90% of that person. Cool. So I have to, kind of turn that off from time to time and mold and adapt. Right. But, at the end of the day, that's who I am. That's who I am. I will absolutely tone that shit down if she's not all in on that. I can see how, if I'm really being honest, I can kind of see how that might get a little too much. Fair point. But if you want to be with me, there's going to have to be some sort of acceptance that I'm a disciplined guy, and if I have my regimen, I want to be able to do that. Because if I don't have time for the gym, if I don't have time for this, if I don't get to express or help people, I don't feel like myself.
Right.
It makes me less of who I am. So, ladies, accept your man for who he is. I mean, we all want to feel accepted by our parents, by our friends, especially by our partners. And since many of us deal with insecurities that stem right from childhood, finding a partner who truly accepts us as we are is rare. It really is. If you can learn to overlook the small stuff, though, be there for him regardless of what he's going through and hold back on the judgment. If he's doing something, saying something that's getting on your nerves, things like that, because of who he is, fine. Trust me, you ain't rainbows and sunshines yourself. He has to adapt to your personality and your shortcomings. Be kind and soft and gentle to his. And if he is overbearing with who he is, then one of two things are going to happen. You're either going to just need to move on from him because you can't handle him, or you're going to have to adapt and mold and, help him kind of learn how to deal with you, I guess. Help him with conversation and communication to kind of tone down this aspect or kind of mold it that way. And then after a while, you guys will fall right into an acceptable level of whatever it is that you guys can accept. But be careful, criticizing, be careful not accepting him for who he is, be careful getting too masculine and, kind of getting all up in his face. Those things don't go over well, especially for the more masculine of masculine men. Number 12, this one really goes for everybody, but women, you're not, you don't get a pass on this. Stick to your word. Men are driven by honor, and women a little less with the honor, but it's important for men to have honor. Up until about 60, 70 years ago, before contracts were done, for thousands of years, we did everything with a handshake.
Yep.
Because if I shook Dwayne's hand and said, I'm going to be bringing you 3 pelts, and in return, you'll bring me 3 dead raccoons, whatever it is that we're trading back in the 1700s, it was done with a handshake, and your word was your bond. And men have always been proud of their word, their bond. It's not quite as that way much anymore in today's world, fair, but innately men are still, they still hold true to their word, and they appreciate it when women hold true to theirs. Men want to know that they can count on you, ladies, and being dependable and trustworthy is important to men. If you haven't noticed, trust in a relationship is a must for both men and women. In the heart of it, men just want someone they can confide in, someone that they know will have their back and won't let them down. Simple. It really is simple. It's that freaking simple. When you say you'll pay the bills on auto pay or you'll pick up the dry cleaning, he wants to be able to just put that out of his mind and secure in the knowledge that you can do it. So if you say, I'm going to do A, B, and C, amongst all the things that he has in his mind, he wants to be able to put A, B, and C on the back burner and know that you got it. And if you don't stick to your word and you drop the ball, let's face it, there's really nothing worse than losing faith in your partner. So, if you can show them that you have a high level of trust, it'll strengthen the relationship. It really will. So stick to your word. Pretty easy one to kind of do, but men appreciate that. Thoughts?
Yeah.
Were you going to say something?
Well, it should be a pretty easy one. Unfortunately, in today's day and age, it's not. And going with that, again, back to the everyone's human. I mean, if you're not able to honor, and again, it depends on what that honor your word is or keep the commitment, whatever that is, own up to it. You know, if you were supposed to get the dry cleaning and you didn't, own up to it. Don't do well, you didn't do this last week. You know, just own up to it. I mean, men that I know, you know, we're all human. We make a mistake. Whenever something happens that I either forget or whatever, I go, "Oh my God, I can't believe I screwed this up, and let me fix it. You know, let me take care of it." And you know, one of the, I would say, most unattractive things that I would see is when somebody, didn't do something or didn't honor their word on certain things. They wouldn't own up to it to where we could, you know, fix it and move on. I mean, everyone's human. And I'm talking about lower level items. I'm not talking about cheating or lying or, you know, that those are, doesn't matter what you say or do. That is a no-go ever. So
small. Absolutely. And folks, a lot of you guys are watching right now on Facebook, YouTube. Put your comments in the comment section. Let's hear them. You guys agree with some of the things I say? You guys disagree with some of the things I say? You know, right here in the comment section, right down over there, just pop it in there, you know, pop in what you guys think. Let's move on to number 14. Number 14 is to encourage his ambitions. You know, women love men that are ambitious. They love them. I have oftentimes asked women, when I ask them what it is they want, and they'll say 6 figures and all these things, right? That's what they want their man to make. And I'll say, well, what about the average guy? You know, the guy making 45, 50 grand a year. Could you date a guy who's an average guy? Because let's be honest, most of us are average.
Yeah.
Women, I know that you like to think that you're a 10. You're not. I promise you, you're not. And if you guys all think that you are 10s, then that means you're all average. If all of you are 10s, then aren't you guys all average?
Yeah.
So, you know, getting with an average dude, a guy who wakes up every single day and goes to work at the produce stand, or is a lineman or an oil guy, or, you know, an electrician or a plumber. Look, don't look down on my hardworking blue collar men, because without these men, we don't get to do podcasts. We don't get to, you know, work in the office building. These men make the world go around. They not only create, but they build and maintain the world that we all live in. Do not shit on my blue collar men. Don't do it. And a lot of you women out there would be lucky to have a good stand-up, God-fearing, apple pie eating, American loving man like that. Most of you would be okay and lucky to have one of those guys. Don't shit on them. When I ask women about these average men, and when I say average, I'm referring to average earning mostly. A lot of times what they'll say, Dwayne, is they'll say, no, I can take an average man as long as I can help him, you know, get to where he now owns a plumbing thing, or as long as he, you know, I don't care if he drives a bus. I just want him to eventually own the bus. No. Hold on. Say, that's not, I'm saying an average man. He makes 50 grand a year. He'll always make 50 grand a year.
Right.
Then they go,
yeah.
I don't know. And so what's my point? My point is that women love ambition in men. They will oftentimes be okay with a man who's not where he wants to be, or where she can see him. She can see his potential. But as long as he has the ambition to be better or more than what he is today, she'll choose that man. But if he doesn't have ambition, she'll move on to the next one, mostly. So if you find a guy who has ambitions, ladies, encourage his ambitions. He wants to feel supported in his dreams. So be his cheerleader. Cheer him on. You know, whether he wants to run the next marathon, or he's going for a big promotion at work, whatever. Every man wants to know that his partner is right next to him, supporting him in reaching his goals. Okay. Yep. So be that cheerleader. And you know, the truth is, many men, just like women, they struggle with confidence and self-esteem. But your belief in him could be the driving force to help him achieve his dreams. A lot of women want men that are already self-made, Dwayne made an analogy a few weeks back, and Dwayne said that a lot of modern women today don't want to work with a man to build. They want to wait at the finish line and pick the winners.
Yep.
And that's true. That's true. And I said after that, yeah, and women like to reserve the right to choose to change their mind whenever they want to on those winners too.
Yep.
The thing about it, ladies, is when it comes to relationships, we all have our aspirations and hopes for the future, but the key is to encourage and support each other in getting there together. This really goes a long ways to the majority of men. And here's what I mean when I say that. If you're the kind of woman that wants your man already self-made, you don't want to have to work with a build-a-boo, okay? The guys who are in the top 15, top 10% of guys who are making the money, already successful, self-made, all those things, I'm gonna be real with you. You think you want those kind of guys? Those guys don't need you. What do they need you for? They're already successful. They're already making 5 figures a month. They don't need you. And if you plug yourself into those kinds of men, and you're the kind of woman that innately wants to help your man be better, it'll probably serve you better to get yourself a guy who has ambition, that is leveling himself up. You'll probably feel better about that because you're not going to feel valued and heard sometimes as a woman if you've already got a guy making 6 figures that doesn't really need or probably sometimes even want your advice.
Right.
Men are very linear in our thinking, and I'm not saying this is right by this thinking, but men are logical, so you can kind of see the logic behind this. If a man is already a self-made man, and you're a woman and you're making $16 an hour, $15 an hour, you're making 35 grand a year, and this guy's making $135,000, $235,000 a year, and you're trying to give him advice on his career. I mean, can you kind of see where I'm going with this? And a lot of women are so overconfident, so you guys, man, you guys are something. I mean, I'm trying to find the right words to not be insulting, but I'll try to use the analogy this way. How many of you are going to go to GNC and ask the fat chick behind the counter what fat loss pills to take? How many of you are going to get a financial advice from your broke cousin? Do you see where I'm going with this? If a man is already a self-made man and you're a woman and you don't have your act together, how much value do you think he sees in your advice? I'm not saying you're not smart. I'm not saying that you don't have what it takes to make the kind of money he's making. Maybe time and chance has just not come your way yet. I'm not saying you're incompetent. What I'm saying is that, you know, if you're the kind of woman that wants to be a cheerleader and encourage your man's ambitions, then you're probably best served with a man has ambitions that are trying to level up, and stop messing with these top tier guys who are probably going to break your heart and don't really need your advice. That's my point. Okay. So if you're a woman who loves to encourage ambitions, being with a man who has no ambition is going to frustrate you. Right. Move on to a guy who does have ambitions. But if you find a guy who wants to be better for himself, be sure to encourage his ambitions, because what a woman does really well is make men into better versions of themselves. Men can go a long ways without women, but if you look back on history to all the great men that has ever existed, they almost always have had a fantastic woman standing next to them. Women are the true multipliers of life. Men are 1 + 1 = 2. A man and a woman, she can do 1 + 1 = 4. I've oftentimes said the most valuable thing a woman does is she takes 4 walls and makes them to a home. She takes a group of individuals and makes them to a family. You guys are the true multipliers. You were born to do this. So encourage his ambitions if you're lucky enough to find a man with him. Number 15, be his partner. That's number 15. Be his partner. Men need to feel like he's in a complete partnership. Be more than just his girlfriend. Be more than just his wife. Here's the thing. When a guy invests his all into a relationship, you have to understand what a man gives up in order to be in a relationship. We give up a lot. Men are not designed to be with one woman. Biologically, we were made to plant our seed. We would never have 7 billion people in this world if it wasn't for men, planting their seed. Only 40% of all men ever created on this earth have had children. That's it. Only 4 out of 10 men have ever had children on this planet since the dawn of time. 80 to 90% of all women have had children. What does that tell you? That men are sleeping with multiple women, impregnating multiple women. That's what it tells you. This is hardwired. In today's civilized society, it's very tough. I'm not trying to make excuses. Oh, I'm not trying to do that. But I mean, let's just call it for what it is. It's very hard for a man to be monogamous, and we really fight the urges, especially in today when you can click you can click your mouse and see all the pornography you want. You can go on the OnlyFans and pay $5, $10 a month to see whatever you want. It's not easy for a man to be monogamous. So when a guy invests his all into a relationship, he wants the relationship to be more than just average. Instead of playing just one role of his girlfriend, be his everything, his companion, his friend, his confidant, the person he can look into no matter what the situation is. And it is very, very commonly known for men in the workplace that if you dress for the position that you want, not for the position that you have. Well, let's turn that around. Ladies, you act like the title that you want. Don't act like the title that you have. If you want to be a wife, don't act like a girlfriend. That's your current title. You're just boyfriend and girlfriend. Move like a wife moves. Because if you move like a wife moves as his girlfriend, guess what he starts looking at you as?
And that's not just telling him that when we get married, why don't you do this? What are we? That doesn't mean that, ladies. That means acting like a wife would without saying it. Yep. There's the. I'm sorry I had to interject that because
you're right.
A number of times where the games are played. What are we? And we need to get married, and you need to put a ring on this. You need to do that. You want to. I mean, it's like kryptonite for a dude. He may end up doing it because he just wants peace, but he's not wanting to do that. But if you're acting like a wife, and maybe there should be a show about how to act like a wife material, that he's gonna. Guys, I know everyone wants to say guys are dumb, and we are on a number of things, but we're always looking and observing and watching and learning who you really are, because every day it's different. Had to get that in there, but
it's true.
I mean, it's a compliment sometimes, but we're watching your behaviors, and we're going, and that's how we fall in love with you. When you're acting like a wife without saying it, we're going, I got to take this girl off the market, because again, guys, we're more hardwired we all kind of think the same. And we're also thinking, I got to take her off the market because this other dude over here is going to see that she is wife material. There ain't a big population out there of girls that fit that criteria. I'm taking her off the market.
I remember I was dating a woman once, and I had a buddy come over, and it was me and my buddy and her. I didn't ask her. She didn't tell me. We didn't have this conversation. While him and I were watching wrestling on TV and making fun of the wrestlers and talking about old school WWE days, she went in the kitchen and whipped us up lunch or breakfast, one of the two. And I remember my buddy. He's looking at me like, dude, does she have a sister?
Yeah, exactly. Twin sister.
I heard his compliments of my girl for weeks and months after that. The fact that she was willing and able to take on the title of wife when she was not my wife, she was someone I was dating. I tell you, I looked at her different. And I was proud, and she made me look good. She made me look good in front of my friend. My friend praised me for my choice of that woman for a long time afterwards and told that story to other people behind my back. I went to my buddy's house, and his chick was in there cooking up da-da-da-da-da-da-da, and she served it to us and got us coffee and stuff. Man, where are those kinds of women at? Ladies, you don't underestimate the power that you have. Except if you don't want to be a wife, fair. If you just want to be a girlfriend, cool. But if you want to be a wife, move like a wife would move without the title. Just like men are often told, take on that responsibility without the title and the pay, and one day you'll get it. Take on that responsibility, ladies, without the title and the pay, and you'll likely get it, because it goes a long ways. And let me give ladies a bit of advice. And a lot of you have done this. And if you've done this, you are missing the mark right now. And you don't think that it's a bad thing. But let me tell you, when I tell you what this is, and you go, oh shit, I've done that before, bad. Don't tell your man that once he puts a ring on your finger, then you'll start to do this, that, and the other. Well, hold on. We're just dating. I'm not your wife. That's wifey type of stuff. So when I have a ring on my finger, then I'll do that stuff. You have missed the boat. That is the exact opposite of the advice I just gave you. Mm-hmm. How well do you think that would go over? Like, ladies, think about it the other way around. Your man's at work. He's having a conversation with his boss. His boss asks him to do a task or responsibility that he doesn't necessarily get paid for. If he does it or if he doesn't do it, he gets paid the same. If your man looked at his boss and said, Dwayne, sir, I appreciate that, but honestly, I'm not the foreman, so I will do that. But first, you've got to make me the foreman before I do that, because I don't get paid for that stuff. You know what Dwayne would go? Okay, cool. No problem. Thank you. And he'll get someone else to do it. And when promotion times comes to promote someone, you think I'm going to get that promotion? Hell no. Hell no. Yep. So we all know that would be true, but then why do women do it to men in relationships? Why would a woman honestly sit there and say, well, I'm not going to do that unless you put a ring on my finger? That's wifey stuff. I'm just a girlfriend right now. Ladies.
That's all you'll ever be.
Yeah, that's all you'll ever be. So I think I've driven that point home. I could keep going, but I'm gonna let it go. Okay, for sake of time. Yeah. Let's go to number 16. We're almost done. I think I had put together 20 of these things. So we're on number 16. Number 16, be willing to communicate and compromise. Ladies. Okay, the first one's a little easier for you, the communication part. The second one is a little tougher for some of you, the compromise part. Okay. Men need to know that you're able to resolve problems, and you satisfy this by just avoiding destructive arguments. Look, it's not to say that you can't ever argue with your partner. That's inevitable. Right. But you can make sure that arguments are kept calm and dealt with maturity. A good tip is to try to visualize the problem, the reason for the argument, and then, as separate from the pair of you two. Like, see it from the outside in. Take that 30,000 foot view of what's going on. It'll help you kind of understand. Once you're able to detach from what the argument really is about, finding the solution becomes a lot easier because both of you are working together. Right. Instead of like fighting each other, Don't. Also, ladies, please take this advice, please. And some of you guys, some of you, my goodness. Ladies, don't take a masculine and aggressive approach in disagreements. You raising your voice, getting animated, aggressive, and threatening will put a man into a fight posture. Men know that there's always, and men are going to nod their head when I say this. Men know, ladies, that there's always a low-level threat of violence amongst men. I can't talk to Dwayne any old freaking way. He ain't going to have it. He'll check my attitude. Two men in a disagreement don't raise their voice to each other, because once one raises their voice and they're both raising their voice, then it becomes animated. And once it becomes animated, then we have to go outside and handle like men. That's the progression of it. You see, men, we have civilized this world in general. Men have so much to where women no longer worry about the threat of physically being attacked by men. Men always know that that guy and I are going to have to go outside and scrap. But women have gotten so comfortable knowing that men have been trained and taught to never hit a woman that they will run off at their mouth and disrespect men more than another man would be allowed to disrespect them.
Oh, yeah. I'm laughing. I'm like, preach.
The men listening to this know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
We don't speak with each other with too much aggression because we know what the outcome will be. Women, men don't speak that way to each other. Okay. So do not act more aggressive to a man than another man would have acted in a similar disagreement. Remain in your feminine, calm, soothing, soft. This oftentimes calms more masculine men because it's our innate desire to fight the masculine and protect the feminine. If he sees that you're trying your best to communicate, even when it's tough to, and you're open to compromise instead of playing blame games or being manipulative, it'll make him respect you more.
Right.
The more masculine man you've chosen, ladies, the more feminine you must become. Some of you y'all out there, ladies, are way too masculine. And what I hear from you oftentimes is, these men can't handle me. These men are intimidated by me. Please never say that shit. Okay? We are not intimidated by you at all. Men don't avoid some of you more masculine women because we're intimidated by you. We avoid you because you're insufferable to be around. And we can't bop you upside the head. So we're just going to take ourselves out of the scenario. So that way we don't want to bop you upside the head.
Right.
We'll just avoid you. You will become invisible to the type of men that you are looking for. That's the unfortunate truth. Your masculinity serves you no value.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't. The more masculine of a man that you want, the more feminine you need to be. And trust me, if you are feminine with a masculine man, he ain't going to yell at you, raise his voice, and be all stupid. 1% of the men will. I'm not saying 100% won't. I mean, but it's 1%. The other 99% of us men, as soon as you become soft and nurturing and kind and compromise, it calms us down, because it is our innate desire to protect the children and the feminine women. Let me tell you something. If you don't believe what I'm saying, women are one of the most protected beings on this planet. A woman can be walking down the street and another person attacks her, and men who don't even date her, men who don't even know her, will run to her defense.
Right.
But trust me, if these men knew that you were some overbearing, masculine, I don't need no man kind of attitude thing, and they saw you getting attacked, we just keep on walking. You want equality? You're all masculine? Handle that shit yourself. You obviously don't need me as a man. So the more feminine you are, the more likely you're going to get the outcome you want. Dwayne, am I on this? Am I off?
No, you're preaching like crazy. I mean, you're hitting everything that I think all the men and women really need to be listening to this. And when you're like the argument part of it, one of my pet peeves is I like people to live in the world they create. So when I'm arguing and someone's saying I'm being unfair, and this goes kind of across the board, they're saying I'm being unfair or I'm not doing this, I will then point out, where they've done the exact same thing and nothing happened. And I'm like, live in the world you create.
Yeah.
So if you were doing XYZ and then I do XYZ, you can't get mad. And if you do, you're wrong. And I don't want to hear it.
It's true.
But yeah. And, to the point, though, about, when you're talking about the feminine, I know, again, I'll say women maybe misunderstand what is being meant by feminine. That doesn't mean that you shrink into a corner and, don't cry. But, that's not what I mean by feminine. It's being all. We need to have a podcast on what was meant by feminine so they understand exactly what you mean, because it's, we all speak the same language, but we're understood differently, or it's misunderstood what we mean when we say masculine, when we say feminine, because of what society and media and 50 Shades of Grey and all that stuff has taught us. Being feminine isn't, again, shrinking in the corner and making you a sandwich. I know that the women that were listening, when they heard that, when that girl made you a sandwich, they were like, "Oh, he just wants me to make him a sandwich." And I want to jump in and say that was an example, but he's not saying make that he made a sandwich for you and your friend and that was what it was. I mean, that was an activity, but if it had been something else, or the way she spoke, had she sat there and was talking about, well, maybe not WWE wrestling, but if you guys were talking about something and she complimented you as far as your conversation, not complimented like, "Oh, wow, Jimmy, great conversation," but complimented it and was knowledgeable, that probably would have impressed your friend as much, if not more, like, "Oh, wow, this girl is a woman of quality. She's well-read. She's communicative. She, checked off those boxes."
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, to the other point there is, it's in arguments which are inevitable, it's men need to know that women, when we can argue fairly, I guess, and not have if you're and ladies, don't say if you were a real man. I just have to add that.
Oh my God, yeah.
I don't know. Is that like in the DNA or like the go-to move? If
it
you were
is.
a real
It's to emasculate men, and it's real rich that women who don't know how to even be a man or what even makes up a man are trying to tell men how they have to act and move in order to be a man. That's really interesting. And if a woman doesn't like what you're saying, they'll tell you that, "Oh, I'm sensing little D energy,"
Oh God! Oh yeah. Yeah.
It's like, oh my God, you guys are something
else. Where you're talking about vulnerabilities and all that, number 1 and 2, that if you mess that up, the rest of it's over. That vulnerability, that's what we were talking about.
The respect and appreciation.
And in certain other areas, if the person's bringing small D energy to something, one, they're aware and they don't want to talk about their small D energy.
Yeah.
A little PSA for the ladies out there.
Anyways. And to Dwayne's point, for the ladies who are listening to some of the things I said, and the one lady that I was dating, when she was in the kitchen and making us, I can't remember if it was lunch or breakfast, whatever. She really enjoys cooking. Some people really love that stuff. She's really, really good at it, and that was her gesture of like her act of service, her love language, right? That's how she shows her love. Just like I show mine with, stopping off at the store and getting her bottle of wine because she ran out, or I'll go and I'll fix something that's broken or whatever. I enjoyed, taking care of things that are headaches for her, and she enjoyed, kind of catering and, showing her act of love in that way. Let me go into a comment that Clover had mentioned. By the way, Clover's a big fan of the show. Clover, we love you. It's a man's job to cultivate, nurture, and reward the feminine to create the energy he wants in a relationship. Oh, I'm sorry. No. It wasn't that one. It was, where is it? The one she talked about a doormat. Here it is, right here. Great advice about avoiding aggression with your man. However, a woman shouldn't have to be a doormat in a relationship. And, just to clarify, that wasn't what I was saying.
Right.
Hopefully you guys didn't take it that way. Just because I was saying that women should take a calm, soft approach to arguments does not mean that I want you guys to be our verbal punching bag or doormat, something that we wipe your feet on. What I'm saying is that conflict. Oh, sorry. Hold on.
You're getting the tour of the house now. There we go.
I'm over here playing with the cord, and that was a cord for my for my camera. Sorry. Hopefully they're getting the focus here in a second. Apologize. But yeah, not looking at you guys being a doormat by any means. It's about conflict, de-escalation.
Right.
Men have to understand that, there's a time and place to be masculine. There's a time and place for us to be a little maybe, I don't want to use the word dominant, but just bold, direct perhaps. And then there's a time and place for us to be soft as well. So absolutely don't want anyone, man or woman, to be a doormat in a relationship. If you're being treated like a doormat, that's a whole completely different subject, whole completely different way of handling it. And if that kind of behavior doesn't change, it's probably time to separate yourself from the relationship, because being someone's verbal punching bag will never breed success long term. So I'm referring to just the dynamics of how the masculine and the feminine work very well together to calm, soothe, and make each other feel safe physically and emotionally. That's what I was referring to. But Clover, thank you for your comment. That's a fair point. Fair point.
That's what I was talking about with the whole, no one's expecting the woman to like recoil. That's not what that means to be in your feminine. It's the de-escalation, which everyone should have. So usually when arguments happen, and what I think we were getting at is, the man says, "Hey, the trash didn't get taken out," whatever that is, and then she says, "Well, you're a jerk," and starts yelling at you. That's then going to raise him up to that level, and then and then just escalates. The feminine part of it is the more mature position, because you should be keeping it calm. Even going back to like when I did phone work, whenever you would have an upset customer, you raising yourself to that level gets them more and more ticked off. But if you keep calm, they'll instinctively come down to your level in a good way and stay calm. Women have a tendency to let the emotions get the better of them. And when you're having a discussion, they start getting flustered. Then they start raising their voice and saying not nice things, which then the man goes, "Ooh." So he starts escalating. And to your point of, it becomes that the fight instinct, because it's escalating. It's like, yeah, all right, it's on. To your point, and then your clarification, that's what we mean by the feminine, and in disagreements, being open to compromise and discussion is to keep it at a mature level.
Yeah. And the plumber brings up a pretty solid point here. Says, hey, ask her what being a doormat looks like, because if is being submissive being a doormat, well, then I want a doormat. And he's making an analogy here. What he's saying is he's saying that at the end of the day, men gravitate towards more submissive women. And I know the word submissive is triggering in today's world for women. But if you look at the way that the Bible says submissive, it's not quite the same interpretation. Submissive does not mean that you are my property. Submissive just means that it's an act of femininity. If you're aggressive, to Dwayne's point, if you're defensive, if you are argumentative, those are more masculine traits, and masculinity is not something that men want. Most men are not looking to date other men. Most men want to date women. We want that other piece to the puzzle that we are not. Just like most women are not looking to date feminine men. Most women are looking to date more masculine men. They want the characteristics of a partner of something different than what they have. So I've oftentimes said that what men are looking for in women are fit, feminine, cooperative, submissive, and inspirational women. So the plumber makes a very valid point. Clover also makes a valid point. We can all agree that there's a balance there. Femininity and submissiveness in a woman is a trait that men are attracted to, but not to the detriment that the woman is a verbal punching bag or a doormat. I think we all can agree on that. Yeah. The last three. So we're on 17. Number 17, make honesty a top priority, especially from men to women. Especially men need to feel secure and safe also. And women can satisfy this by always being truthful. we've mentioned how important it is, but one of the best ways to build trust in a relationship is by simply being honest. There's really only one way. Even when it comes down to harmless little white lies, those are still lies. Those over time can build up and your partner will start to lose trust in you. We've all read the story of the boy who cries wolf, So women, I've noticed, men, when they lie, they just kind of bold-faced lie. When women lie, they lie with white lies. They don't disclose the entire truth. They make the story seem not as bad as the story really is. And that's lying just in itself. I can give many examples of this in women that I've dated in the past. And trust me, you're not going to gain the trust of your man with white lies. And if you don't have the trust of your man, you're not going to have your man. No man's going to be able to take his woman seriously if he can't trust her, period. Yeah. So without it, he'll always second guess whether he can truly open up to you and trust you with his vulnerabilities. He'll always wonder if you're the right woman and can be entrusted with his heart. If all his efforts and investments in you are worthwhile, or if you're just a woman that will eventually leave him for a better man or a better opportunity in the future. You have to understand, ladies, all the things that men have to give up in order to call you the one and be in a relationship. If he can't trust you and he's always wondering if you're going to be looking for the next thing, it's hard for any man to take you seriously. Number 18, maintain your independence. And here's what I mean by that, okay? You want to keep the attraction, right? You want to have a life of your own. It's no surprise that attraction can fade, especially if you've spent many years together. Mm-hmm. It's a key element of every healthy relationship. So, how can you keep it up in yours? That's the question. To start with, having some independence and creating a fulfilling life for yourself will help make you a lot more interesting to your partner than if you just sat by his side all day long, right? Guys need their space. They want you to have your own life. Don't get too crazy with it and too far gone from him, but have something going on. He'll look forward to hearing about your day. It'll also give him a chance to kind of miss you. I mean, let's face it, guys don't want a clingy, needy relationship where they don't have any time for themselves. If you're a woman who has her own hobbies, her own likes and things like that, it's a good turn on for a guy. It tells him that even though you have other things going on, at the end of the day, you still choose him. That's another reason why men appreciate your honesty and your trustworthy so much. Men know that the more attractive and the better woman he has acquired, the more other men are going to want his chick. Just like women, the more successful your man is and a good stand-up dude, other women want your man. So we get it. If you're a good woman with good things going on and you have options as a woman, but you still choose him every day, he knows that he's got something there. I mean, let's face it, guys, again, they don't want that clingy person that's always hanging on their neck, right? But I mean, if you've got things going on and every day you still choose him, despite what you got going on, he appreciates it. Plus, if you got things going on where it takes you gone for the day or for a couple of days from time to time, that's fine. It'll only improve the relationship because it'll make the sex life better too, because you guys get a chance to miss each other. Sometimes relationships, you guys are so up on each other metaphorically, not sexually, metaphorically. Like you guys are always in each other's space every day together. Right. And there's something to be said that you guys never get a chance to miss each other. What's that saying about something makes the heart grow fonder?
The absence makes the heart grow fonder.
That's it. Yeah. So there's truth there, right? So ladies, we want your sweetness, we want your affection, we want your attention, but don't be a class 5 clinger. Okay, have a little balance in that, and it's not really all that hard. You just have to know your man. Some men like a little more clingy than others. Just figure out who you got. It's the burden of all of us to figure out who we have. Number 19, and this one here is a make it or break it. There's no coming back from this one. Always be faithful. As a woman.
You had to write that down.
There ain't no coming back from this one.
Men done messed up, Aaron.
Men need to feel committed to, staying loyal to him, staying loyal to a man is extremely, extremely important. And it's another biological thing. I believe I'm right by this. I don't have any stats to support this, but my understanding of why men biologically look for women who are not promiscuous, low body counts, and who are faithful is because prior to birth control tests and DNA tests, men had no idea if they were the father of those children.
Right.
That's why we always went for virgins, and we wanted to marry a virgin, because if you weren't a virgin and you got pregnant, we had no idea if we were raising the legacy of another man's children.
Exactly.
Not so much as intense anymore, but take thousands of years of ingrained thinking that way, and that's why we think the way we think. Look, a little bit of jealousy is pretty healthy in a relationship. It's a natural feeling. It shows how much you don't want to lose your partner, but only a little bit. Okay, only a little bit, ladies. Don't start throwing down his throat all the guys who are hitting you up. Anything more than a little bit, and most men will start to lose faith in the relationship really quickly.
Yeah, we're aware.
And if it comes down to an affair, the damage is irreversible. So be mindful of this during your relationship. Don't play games. Don't go overboard. Don't make him feel jealous whenever you want to provoke a reaction from him. Don't do that stuff. Okay, be faithful. The last one, number 20, make him feel like a priority. Men want to be valued. Be considerate of his needs. It pays to know the characteristics of an alpha male in a relationship. No one wants to be just an option, especially not in a relationship. So men crave to be the number one person in your life. They need to see that you value and prioritize them, and a bit of consideration is all you need to do this. When you know he's had a bad day, turn off your show, put down your book and take his mind off things. If it's a special birthday or an anniversary is coming up, make an effort to show him how much you love him. These small acts go a long ways. They really do. Here's a couple comments on cheating. Let's see what they got.
Yeah. Yeah. And shame on those men that do it.
Yeah. So, folks, or I should say ladies, because this is more for a ladies thing today. These things are tips that if you're looking for a long lasting relationship that especially leads to marriage, these are things that will serve you well. These top 20 things, they go a long ways into helping men to feel safe and secure in a relationship. And if you follow those tips, you'll give your man what it is he deserves and what he's looking for. I want to thank everyone for tuning in to today's show, The Big Show, hosted by me and alongside of me, Dwayne Ward. We appreciate your guys tuning in every single week. We go live every Sunday morning, 9 a.m. Central, 10 a.m. Eastern. We'll be back next week for another episode of the Big Show. Until then, have a happy Mother's Day. Have a great week, and we love you, and we'll see you guys next week.